Hello, it's Amy with Just a Little Ink. I'm an independent demonstrator with Stampin' Up, and I'd love to share with you today a quick card using the Shepherd's Care stamp set. It's one of the $1 Million Sales Achievers stamp sets that's in our current September to December mini catalog. Just a caveat to note that very few people, less than 1% of demonstrators, reach that level, something that I need to say at the front of this video. But this is a wonderful stamp set, was my have-to-have. This likely is my Christmas card, so if you're on my list, you might get this one. I'm gonna switch over and we'll keep on to talking, but I wanted to note those things. I'm gonna slide into my studio chair and see if we can't get going on this fun card. So again, I'm going to kind of talk through the things you need first. The Shepherd's Care stamp set is a red rubber, and some of them are already on blocks. It's a red rubber stamp set, and it is perfect for those who like to have a religious stamp set for Christmas, which is something I like. I like it to be focused on our Lord, and so I love this stamp set. Like I said, it was a have-to-have. I'm also going to be using the Distress Tile 3D embossing folder. I wanted something that was a little more old world. You could also use, we have a painted texture. I've seen some people use it with this stamp set, and it is an awesome option. And then I'm going to be using, and I keep my dies in on magnetic sleeves and put them back in. And so this is the Nested Essentials. We're going to be using the two largest of this shape. And I'm going to be using the small banner from Stylish Shapes. This is Nested Essentials. This is Stylish Shapes. You could do something different and just flag your ends on a strip, but those are the parts and pieces we're going to be using. Let me get that out of the way. I'm also going to be using, I'm just going to open up the catalog to this page. So pages 24 to 25, the Season of Elegance Suite Collection, I'm using parts of. I'm going to be using the Season of Elegance Designer Series papers, and you could easily with this card get some variations by using all of the papers, and you would get a lot of cards, and that might exactly be what I'm doing. So I'm also going to be using the gold textured adhesive backed dots that are in this suite. Again, out of the mini catalog, this is still available. Things will start going on the on retiring list here before too long. So to kind of get you started, what we need a half a sheet, and I'm using basic white cardstock. It's a little harder to see. Let me pull my catalog here just so you can kind of see this here. So I'm using a half a sheet, 8.5 by 5.5, scored in the middle at 4 1/4. I'm also needing a quarter sheet, 5 1/4 by 4, and I'm again using basic white to do that embossing because I like how sturdy it is. Our regular basic white has a tendency to buckle a little bit, and so to make that, you're going to put it in the folder. I'm not going to run it through just because it's a lot of bulk. Put it in. I like to use this line where the Stampin' Up! Logo is kind of as my guide of whether I'm straight, though this particular folder isn't as big a deal. I'm kind of particular that way. I line it up. You always want to put it through your machine with the fold going through the machine, so you would roll it through. So that's how simple those are. Then you need 2 more pieces of cardstock or designer paper. This is that Season of Elegance Designer Series paper. You need a piece that's 5 inches by 3 inches. And then you need, I'm going to put these all here, you need a strip of Mossy Meadow or whatever color you opt to use out of this Designer Series paper. About 1 inch, give or take a little, by 3 inches was enough to get that banner cut. And so I'm going to pull these things out and get going. As I said, this is a simple card. So I'm going to fold my card base in half along that score line. Grab my bone folder, which I have in my tool set here, and get a nice crisp fold. Sometimes that's good and bad. I'm going to then open it back up, and I'm doing that because I didn't want this folding open on me. So where did I go here? I come here. So I'm going to come here to the front, and then, whoops, sorry, need to get that here. So again, we're going to run this through the embossing machine. When we do, we end up with a textured piece. Get it a little closer to my camera so you can see it. I'm going to set it aside for the moment, and then I'm going to grab out the shepherd from Shepherd's Care. I have already attached it to my block. This is an E block. E is a very useful block, especially for some of these larger stamp sets. And so I'm going to grab out my Mossy Meadow ink. I like the coloring in Mossy Meadow. And so I'm going to ink up. You have to let me know in the comments if you have already made your Christmas cards, if you don't make Christmas cards, if you do, how many you make. I'm going to leave it open just because, but I'm going to set it out of the way. So I'm going to line this up, and what I found is I don't want it centered, because if I center the shepherd's head, then the lamb isn't on. Both of them kind of tend to be out of the screen, so I want to come over just a little ways off-centered so that the edge is maybe an inch over. I'm going to stamp him, get a nice firm pressure. Lift him up, nice impression there. And while I have my stamp pad out, I'm going to go ahead and stamp my inside. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open, I'm using the same color. So the nice thing about this particular, let me move this where I'm not reaching across. The nice thing about this particular design is that it all uses one color. So I'm going to line up the city of Bethlehem down here on the lower right. Then I liked the little star. Kind of glows. I liked it above the city. And then I'm going to stamp in the inside the inside greeting, which is another thing that I liked about this particular set. A couple options for the outside, and then you have some options for the inside with having an inside greeting. And you could make this be just even a get well card, because the stamp set isn't just for Christmas. So I'm going to put this on here, hold it, lift it up. So then I've got my insides already stamped with whatever color you chose. The other colors in this paper are Cherry Cobbler, Basic Beige, and Pretty Peacock, along with this Mossy Meadow. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that smaller, let's see, we have to line them up here so that you can see what I'm doing. What I did is I took those dies, again I told you we're using the 2 largest from here, so I'm going to line up centered on the embossed piece of basic white, this die, the largest of this shape, and when I do, it's going to cut out like this. So then I have a larger piece to go on top. But then from the designer paper, I'm going to take the next smallest die. I'm going to line it up again centered onto my designer paper. It leaves me some pieces to use for other cards. So stay tuned, you never know. And when I do that, I end up with it shaped just a little smaller for on the other insides. So I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it over, and I liked using the multi-purpose liquid glue, and so I'm going to see if I can get it moving. This is the glue I don't use as often, so sometimes it's not as cooperative, might be the right word. There we go. And so you need a little bit around, and the nice thing is this is a fairly flat card. And so I'm going to get a little bit of adhesive, and so if it's kind of oozing out beyond, it's going to be okay. You want to make sure it's on the side you don't want to see. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay it here, and because it's the multi-purpose liquid glue, I have a little bit of wiggle room so that I can then line up on the other side and get an even reveal all the way around. So like so. So then I'm going to smooth that out. And then I'm going to put adhesive on the back, and you see how it lines up on the front and reveals the shepherd right in the middle. So fun. So I'm going to go ahead and put adhesive on this side. I could use multi-purpose liquid glue. Sometimes I'm not that patient for this much, and so I'm going to go ahead and put some, and then I want a little bit beyond. So you use whatever adhesive you prefer. I'm going to turn this around and then line up. Might get in your face just a little bit as I'm doing this, but I want it having an even reveal. I liked the neutral. And for me, I need to get my Christmas cards done, and so these are going to be so fast and easy. And it's the first time I think I've ever shared the card I've done for me with everyone else. So what I chose to do then is I've got the Peace on Earth stamp, and I'm going to use some Versamark ink and stamp it on my strip of, let's see if I can find my embossing buddy. I may have pulled him out. I think I did. So normally you want to put the embossing buddy, if you have the Additions embossing toolkit, it's very helpful to have it so that you can keep any finger oils and stuff. My hands are pretty dry, so we'll see if they had any today. But I'm going to go ahead and stamp my Peace on Earth. I found it was easier to do this in this order than it was to cut that embossed piece and then heat emboss it. You can do it that way. But again, that's not the order that I found it was easiest to do it in. So then I've got my tray here that comes with that embossing Additions kit. And the Wow embossing powders are in gold, silver, and copper. And so I'm just going to tip it there. But I will tell you the thing that I love most about that the Additions toolkit are the tweezers. The tweezers self-lock, which will hold on when I pick it up. So I've got my powder on. You don't want this in the heat. Then I would take my heat tool, heat it until it turns golden. So when it starts to get shiny, then, and I'll go ahead and just set this out of the way for the moment. But when it's gotten shiny, then I know it's done, and I can then cut it out using, again, this smaller wide banner from the embossing or the Stylish Shapes. So to finish things off, two things. I'm going to grab some Stampin' and Dimensionals. Just need a couple of them. And don't want them sticking on themselves. All right, over here. All right, pull those off. And what I liked was that it would kind of sit almost grounding my my sheep sitting there at the base. I didn't want to cover up too much of him. Like so. And this by itself would be a beautiful card if you want to keep it super simple, but I kind of liked having the embellishments. And so I'm going to then pull them out, and I slit the bottom of it just to make it easier to keep them from being without the cover. And I don't want to use the largest, but you could. I'm going to take the middle size, use my take your pick tool. I'm going to come up here, put one up on the corner, come grab a smaller one, kind of come off to the side, and then you can decide where you'd like them. I kind of liked it down here because of the offset. You could put it up above, but I kind of liked it down here. And so that is my Shepherd's Care stamp. So I'm going to go ahead and stand back up, give you a little bit of a greeting again. Thank you for joining me. If you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel or liked my Facebook page or started following me, I would so appreciate that. Please comment, like, and share, and I'll look forward to seeing you next Thursday for my next video. Have a wonderful rest of your day.